All right, abusia mi cha na misan so emo akwaba emre channel so ha eda so aye be media GH. Na abusia ene asema ba beto epono so ene no abusia ano edin a enya asem ketwa. It is alleged say a former CEO edema tema oye refinery. Abusia it is alleged say America for atumi extradite abefa papa yi de akopie mu ewo America bonten so abusia se sie ya menamo ekasai office judgment a enya asem ketwa. Ni na ne say $1 million deal bi just say afanensa say ama wasan so atuatua bribe e de ama former MPs ene some sitting MPs a abusia enya asem ketwa na say utie ensem ni mu enkyeremu yi a say okopie mu ewo America no abusia so obehwe meya jeri ono ko ade da bi ensi na list of names a abusiafo wahwie ede agu ho no enye easy. List of names a former CEO wahwie ade agu ho no abusua enye easy we dey ma mekasa wa me ma mekasa enye tete pese yekọ na yeti ekwan of aso a otumi secure sa deal no ede ema ne Turkish client no abusua yenko na yentie ni na yemfa chese ye comment efa ngu comment section ho eda so aye be media je bese wase ene dia edikan ya wani yetwa channel so ni de no bu kwan so bese waso be subscribe be like na wa bo aso asha person be tie no anya bi etie moma yenko na yentie this kind issue about efa na ye former Addo appointee just say abusia this time there someone bonten there arrest cases arrest cases arrest and just say frozen assets na just say koso moma yentie na yenkyere yadwe na lawyer Matic Peguso adi nkomo na attorney general so adi nkomo just say ono ene U.S. attorney general just say kwan ya omo efa so omo ataite omo ne omo bo adwuma de abusia ensem no ano edi but modi aso subscribe yenko na yentie na yenkyere adwuma sisia.
This afternoon, former Tema Oil Refinery Managing Director Asante Kweku Beku has been convicted by a U.S. federal jury over a corruption scheme involving a power project in Ghana. U.S. prosecutors say Beku and his co-conspirators allegedly paid more than $1 million in bribes to Ghanaian government officials, including a former Minister of Power and members of Parliament, to help secure the project for Turkish energy company U.S.A. Energy. Beku, a former Goldman Sachs executive and dual Ghanaian-American citizen, faces up to 30 years in prison when sentenced. Well, private legal practitioner Martin Pebu has suggested that the disagreement between Speaker of Parliament Alban Bagbing and Mahama Ayarega is to contribute over the states of Ghana's anti-LGBT bill could be one of the reasons behind the letter's removal as majority leader. Speaking on the key point, Mr. Pebu stressed that his position was an analysis of development surrounding the bill and not a confirmed explanation from the government or governing NDC. And well, the Attorney General says Ghana is working with authorities in the U.S. to pursue persons implicated in the alleged bribery scheme surrounding a power plant development contract between the government of Ghana and the Turkish energy company. The development follows the conviction of former ECG Managing Director Asante Kweku Beku by a U.S. jury in Brooklyn, New York, on charges including conspiracy to violate the U.S. Foreign Corrupt Practices Act. In a Facebook post, Deputy Attorney General Justice Ramsay says Ghanaian and U.S. authorities are collaborating to bring other persons implicated in the scheme to book. So here is excerpts of the post he made on Facebook. It says the Honorable AG is working with his United States counterpart to bring to book persons who are implicated in the bribery scheme related to the 2014-2017 power plant development contract between a Turkish energy company and the government. This follows Asante Kweku Beku's conviction by a U.S. federal jury in Brooklyn on charges of conspiracy to violate the U.S. Foreign Corrupt Practices Act and other related laws. And as always, he will add the year to his post. And still on this, the former Tema Oil Refinery Managing Director, Asante Kweku Beku, has been convicted by a U.S. federal jury over a corruption scheme involving a power project in Ghana. U.S. prosecutors say Beku and his co-conspirators allegedly paid more than $1 million in bribes to Ghanaian government officials, including a former Minister of Power and members of Parliament, to help secure the project for Turkish energy company AXA Energy. Beku, a former Goldman Sachs executive and dual Ghanaian-American citizen, faces up to 30 years in prison when sentenced. We have been bringing you a lot more on this, on what the Office of the AG as well as the others are doing in bringing all of this together. But co-chair of the Citizens Movement Against Corruption, Adam Senani, says the allegations must be investigated and anyone found culpable prosecuted.
Cringe. It was really embarrassing. You know, you are a Ghanaian and you want to believe that what Ghanaians do, we are known for issues of integrity, standing for what is right. So certainly to have an external group, another jurisdiction, saying that a Ghanaian was arrested, he's been jailed for so many years, and it is because he's facilitated payments to other Ghanaians in government, which then meant that contracts they were giving out, whether in energy or in oil, were also, you know, influenced. Was a sad day for me yesterday, and in my view, it's important that we are seen ourselves to have done our investigations to hold accountable anyone who, as it were, has undermined the development of this nation and has taken resources that ought not to have been, you know, filtered away. So it's good news. So my position is that our own institutions of state, agencies, whether it's the Office of the Special Prosecutor or it's the AGs, and if you ask my preference is to certainly be the OSP, to go into these matters and find out the veracity, and if there are individuals who've already been stated, it's available in the court proceedings in the US. Let's take those names and begin to work to investigate and build on it. If there's any collaborative you know, arrangement between us and the US, pick that information and run with it. I think I've a few minutes ago seen something from the AG saying that they will collaborate. But in my view, let the Ghanaian agencies take these issues up and deal with them very strongly. Let's not allow ourselves to seem as if we are very relaxed when things like this happen. Our integrity on the global scene is at stake, and this should not be allowed to be, you know, just allowed to slide. Not at all.
Thank you very much.
To some other stories, private legal practitioner Martin Pebu has suggested that the disagreement between Speaker of Parliament Alban Bagbin and Mahama Ayariga over the status of Ghana's anti-LGBTQ plus bill could be one of the reasons behind the latter's removal as majority leader. Speaking on the key point, Mr. Pebu stressed that his position was an analysis of development surrounding the bill and not a confirmed explanation from the government or governing NDC.
The one that's intrigued me is Agalde's his promotion to that position. Analysts are saying that it appears because Mahama Ayariga challenged Speaker on the passage of the LGBTQ law. That's how come Ayariga is being removed. You know, the Speaker said the bill had not been passed. Ayariga too says it's been properly passed. And you know how the international community is briefing down our necks on that particular law. So it means that for as long as Ayariga stays as majority leader, there's going to be a problem, you know, going forward with that bill.
Really?
So it appears very reasonable. So they say that it appears it's because of it that the Ayariga is being removed, so that the proposals that the Speaker is put forward, you know, the Speaker has said that it can be, the consideration can be done again, etc. You know, the bill has been kept somewhere, we've moved on. But look, we should be careful. If we don't sort out that issue once and for all, the NDC will pay dearly for it. You see, let's not make a mistake. The opposition, they are watching. They'll just wait. Near elections, they will raise it again. So it's better look, this bill and these issues are dealt with once and for all.
And still on LGBTQ, former Defense Minister and Bimbala MP Dominic Nitiwu has called on government to clarify the status of Ghana's anti-LGBTQ+ bill, particularly whether it was formally transmitted from Parliament to the President.
The Chief Whip needs to tell the nation whether this bill was transmitted to the President. That's why I'm tending to want to believe what Martin Kpebu is saying, because if the bill was transmitted to the President, if the President has a problem with it, he will write back, he will return the bill to Parliament with comments. If that has not happened, then I will side with what Martin Kpebu is trying to say, clearly. That's the point I was trying to make. So the Chief Whip needs to tell the nation, was the bill transmitted to Parliament or the bill is still sitting in Parliament? And if it's still sitting in Parliament, what is the reason why that bill is still sitting in Parliament? If it's also being transmitted to the President, where is the letter that the President has written to Parliament making his comments about it? And what are his comments? Which are the areas that the President disagrees with the bill? So the Chief Whip needs to tell the nation like that. Otherwise, everybody has what he has to say, and I will believe what Martin Kpebu is trying to say. But that is not to say it's a demotion. No. Where the Mama Yaga is going is a very sensitive ministry. So it is not, he's not being punished. Not at all. In fact, if there's anything, somebody will say he's been promoted. So right. I will not say that he's being punished at all. And he's going to literally be working with the entire local government system, the MMDCs all over, the regional ministers. So he's really having a very powerful position. I rather want to think that the party is positioning themselves more for election purposes.
Well, the Forestry Commission is calling for a permanent 24-hour security presence in forest reserves to prevent illegal miners from returning after enforcement operations. The Commission says repeated raids have failed to permanently halt illegal mining, with 41 miners recently arrested and hundreds of machines and makeshift structures destroyed in the Kakum Forest area. The Western Regional Manager of the Forestry Commission, Nanapoku Bosompim, said this on the key point.
So we commissioned an operation in the last 8 days. And I can tell you, in just 8 days, today happens to be the 8th day, the chamfer machines we have immobilized in total from that Cape 3 Forest Reserves stands at 125. If you look at the industrial pumping machines, 202. And these are brand new machines. We were even surprised at how new the machines were. That means we are bringing new machines all the time. The structure, the makeshift structure that we destroyed inside the forest stands at 59. As of this morning, and these are wooden planks with polythene materials around it, as you see in the pictures. All these machines we managed to immobilize through burning. As of this morning, the total arrest made is 41, including 4 females who were arrested in the night. As of yesterday, 27 of them have been duly remanded by the Takoradi Circuit Court, but the others will have their day in court, I think, from Monday. Although we are dealing with the mining menace, you go to this particular forest reserve, flag the people out, destroy the machinery, and they move to another forest. They know for sure that we are not going to be there 24 hours, 7 times a week. So you mobilize an operation, go with an entire team, you go and stay there for about a week, you think you flush out the miners, retreat, and the people will come back to this very same pit. Changing the strategy means you should have permanent structures on the ground inside the forest, and make sure your officers are there 24/7 to make sure after flashing out the miners, they do not return. And I believe the same approach has to be adopted. NIMOS cannot sit in Accra, come into, let's say, Western region, conduct an operation for a week or 2 and retreat. The people will come back. It will be ideal for NIMOS to even have permanent structures, permanent camps in hotspot areas like the Western region, so that when there's an incident, they can easily mobilize just 10-20 minutes drive. They are at the particular location. We need something in the semblance of the 24-hour economy, fighting the illegal mining menace.
Concerns are growing among stakeholders over the large number of trucks operating on the White Volta River at Nauni in the Kumbungu district, resulting in increasing cost of water treatment. An assessment conducted by Catholic Relief Services on the White Volta River has shown a steady decline in the quality and quantity of water supplied to the greater Tamale area despite its rapid urban growth.
The White Volta River Basin, covering approximately 400,000 kilometers square, remains a critical water source for millions of people in northern Ghana. However, unregulated sand mining, unsustainable agriculture, and degraded riparian areas have severely impacted water quality and quantity, increasing treatment costs and threatening community resilience. A CRS-WRC study estimated that over 15 million cubic meters of sand had accumulated in the Nauni sub-catchment, underscoring the urgent need for regulated extraction practices. Addressing participants at a stakeholder forum on sustainable sand mining.
Oh, the defense minister, former, is a very good friend of mine. When he was Minister for Defense, I happened to be the ranking member of the Defense and Interior Committee of Parliament. So I actually oversighted him. And he knows too well that the position of ranking member is part of what? The leadership structure of Parliament. He's very much aware. So, and for 8 solid years, I was ranking member. That was a leadership role in Parliament. So I am not new to leadership in Parliament. As we speak, I'm the chairman of the Defense and Interior Committee. That is a leadership role in Parliament. It's part of the extended leadership structure of Parliament. So I am coming from the point where one can say that I am new to leadership. What to be said about me? And so I believe that you'll be the best to pass judgment. But for now, my colleague and good friend, Honorable Lituwo, is entitled to his views, but I can assure you that I am not new to leadership in Parliament. By the way, there are other equally senior members who have been part of leadership that I would have the opportunity to work closely with, the likes of Roxanne Nelson Dafiamapo, Ricketts Hagan, Achampong, and even Honorable Doyu. These are very formidable people, and therefore, I mean, leadership is something that should be seen in the collective, you know. So nothing to worry about.
James Agaga also maintains that he is ready for the job and all that comes with it, including the responsibility of standing up to the minority side of the House and its leader, Alexander Apenyo-Markin.
Apenyo-Markin is a colleague, lawyer, you know, we are members of the bar. We both arrived in Parliament at the same time, and so he doesn't enjoy seniority over me so far as our age in Parliament is concerned. But, of course, we would extend all the courtesies to the minority leadership. But at the same time, the message I have for the minority is that we would play according to the rules. I mean, the standing orders are very clear. And so if we play according to what the standing orders allows us to do, I am sure would have a very interesting Parliament. I can assure I've heard people say, oh, but maybe I'm new to leadership and it could be bullied. If you've known me for some time, you would agree that I am not the type who can be bullied. Far from that. But like I said, Apenyo-Markin is a nice gentleman, and so would accord him all the courtesies, would expect him to do likewise. And if we do that, I'm sure there will be peace and tranquility in the House. I don't think it would get to the point where we'd have to have a showdown. But if we have to have a showdown, why not? But as majority, our interest is to ensure that government business is not interrupted. And I'm going to, my colleague, the Honorable Ayaroga, did very well when he was, and he's still the majority leader anyway. He did very well and soft-spoken, but very decisive and resolute. Well, I think that I would walk very much in his footsteps and ensure that government business is not disrupted in any way.
But the former defense minister insists the incoming majority leader, James Agalga, lacks experience in Parliament's core leadership, although he has praised him as a tough and highly capable legislator. He spoke on the key points.
I didn't say that to condemn him. That's the first point I want to make. I said that because when it comes to the work of Parliament, I've been in Parliament with Agaga. He came to meet me in Parliament, and he's a very tough legislator. He's very good at the work he does. He can be very, very tough. He's given us very good time, very tough time whilst we were in opposition. He gave us a very tough time whilst we were in government for 8 years. So I know him when it comes to the work of legislation and the work of advocacy in Parliament. He's very, very good at that. What I said, and I still maintain, is that he has not experienced parliamentary leadership before. Not at all. He's been in leadership, what we call the extended leadership, because he was a ranking member on Defense and Interior. So for the extended leadership, he was there before. He's also now part of the extended leadership because he's the chairman of Defense and Interior. But when it comes to the leadership itself, the core leadership, and there are 5, he's never been part of it. And he's facing a bench that has been in leadership far longer than you can think of. So the leader, for example, at our side, Fmr Addo, has been in leadership for about 3.5 years. His deputy has been in leadership for almost 5.5 years. The first deputy whip, the chief whip, has been in leadership for almost 5.5 years. Then the first deputy whip has also been in Parliament in leadership for 5.5 years. So he's facing a very experienced minority leadership. And if he does not put his ass together, he will face problems when he's dealing with them. Because as he said, and I agree with him, there are people who are very good in the work they do.
Meanwhile, Kenneth Gilbert Ejay has welcomed his reassignment from the Ministry of Works, Housing and Water Resources to the Ministry of Defense. In a Facebook post, Mr. Ejay took stock of his achievement in his previous role and called for support as he takes on his new assignment. Excerpts of the post say, "As I take on my new responsibility at the Ministry of Defense, I do so with humility, renewed energy, and a deep sense of duty. I am optimistic about the road ahead and look forward to contributing meaningfully to our collective efforts to build a stronger and more secure Ghana. To the people of Ghana, thank you for your continued support, goodwill, and prayers. Your encouragement remains a source of strength as we continue to serve our nation." And so that's it from Ghana's new Defense Minister, Kenneth Gilbert Ejay. To other stories.
So come home here to media and I see a walk and so it's me grass after we say about Ghana. Then say political update, top stories and political headlines are Unyane baby I say happy and I'll submit me I can't public so next time message don't subscribe here anything no book on so bet me I drop subscription now I share no for so answer so it's me a carry on so who the air call any day air but bet me so abo the comment section on our share Ghana's wedding come and I find you